am Sharon Gilbert, and welcome to SkyWatch TV's brand new SkyWatch Women One-on-One. Last time I got to talk with Nita Horn, who has written the wonderful book, No Fences. Today, I get to talk with her daughter, Donna Howell. Donna, welcome to SkyWatch Women.
Thank you.
You know, you and I have gotten to know each other a little bit over the last year, but there are still many things about your life. You're a writer, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a licensed minister. You recently just got, and you had to go through a lot to get there.
I did.
Can you tell me a little bit about the process?
I actually did a lot of the Berean studies, Berean School of the Bible through Global University from my home. And it's it used to be a mail correspondence kind of a thing, but they do it all online now. And I put myself through it rather quickly, actually. A lot of the earlier, like kind of level 1 certified minister classes were kind of rehashing things that I had already been familiar with from my childhood. Just being raised in church and growing up in church.
You were indeed. You were raised by Tom and Nita Horn, and that had to have been an experience and a half. Tell me the funniest thing that ever happened to your family. When you guys get together and you talk, and you laugh a lot when your family gets together, and your brother Joe has stories that are incredible. What is your favorite story to tell at those gatherings? What do you find yourself going to over and over again?
My brother Joe had the worst temper when he was little. If you interrupted him while he was in the middle of his, I mean, he used to set up this camera, the camcorder, the family camcorder, because back, you know, now everybody's doing YouTube and everything like that. So to be recorded and put on TV is like, well, everybody does that. You could even put yourself out on the universe.
But that was early days back then.
That was back then, that having a camcorder and even watching it from the comforts of your own like home living room was kind of like ooh, I'm on TV. And so Joe used to set up these shows, and he'd do these skits, or he'd play his guitar and we'd have a concert or whatever. Sometimes he even did full like movie feature films that were like 4 minutes long, but they were like a full-on story. Yeah, he was Jobo, parody of Rambo. He was Dr. Jokel, which was, you know, the Mr. Hyde story. And so he used to do these things, and if you interrupted him, he just kind of went nuts. There was this one moment where he was recording this, I don't remember, something about Homie and Wiz or a Pee Wee show. I don't remember what it was, and he was recording it, and my sister had been sent by my mom to come and tell him to shut it down and go to bed. And he lost his mind. He was just, shut the door. So some of the funniest moments are actually watching the videos that we have from childhood. You
know, we'll have to get together and see if we can't put together a DVD of all of those.
Right.
Yeah, and really
no, the world will never see
blackmail videos. Oh yes. Well, you were talking earlier before we even started recording this how you are actually a little bit shy, and I know that of you, even though you have a ton to offer the world. You are naturally an introvert, which, believe it or not, I am too. You used to sing in theater.
I did.
Isn't that, and I did too, isn't that a little bit of an oddity to be an introvert and yet want to be on stage performing for the entire world?
It's one of those things that I struggle finding my own voice. And I was talking to you earlier about the fact that Joe has really found his voice in this caring for animals thing, and this, it feels like everybody here, they have this ministry. You've got Josh Peck with the multiverse, and Joe and Catherine with what's the upcoming Back to Eden, you and Derek in the Sci Friday, and it feels like everybody has a voice and a passion that they're able to express themselves. I'm not sure why, and this isn't like some deep, dark, emotional. I don't really have any. I'm a very, very good support role person.
You are.
And you
help a lot. You write a lot.
I do, yeah. I have for years. I have written, and that's kind of what I've always done behind the scenes, and I've been involved in. No, I've never been in the limelight. It's so, if I had a voice or something to say to express myself, if I suddenly, tomorrow I'm going to talk about this as my new ministry, I think I would find that I would come out of my shell and be more comfortable doing the SkyWatch and the women and the cameras and all of that. I find myself in an unusual place because about sometime last year, I feel like the Lord told me, get ready. And I'm not sure for what. I haven't figured that out yet. but that's why I put myself through Berean. And it was confirmed by many different people and in very strange circumstances. So it's not just like I woke up one morning and thought, I got a gut feeling I should do Berean. It was circumstantial. And there was all these moments that led me to believe that that was the next thing I needed to do. I'm still preparing for that. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I am licensed now. And through the organization that I am licensed through, you have to be licensed for 2 years before you can be ordained. So that's, other than that, I've actually completed all the way through ordination level requirements.
Wow.
So essentially I've gone through all the schooling and all of that's complete. It's just a 2-year waiting period. But getting back to what I was saying, I have yet to kind of find my voice and figure out what it is I'm supposed to be doing.
One advantage to being on the stage is that you actually take on another character, another persona.
Right.
So you don't have to be yourself in front of all these people.
Right.
And I know that that made it more comfortable for me when I was performing. If you don't think you have your voice yet, what do you see yourself doing? Is there any clue when the Lord speaks to you? Do you think it's going to be in writing or in actual ministry in a church setting or with women, the way we're trying to do with SkyWatch Women?
For the last several years, I have been ghostwriting a lot, and the more that I work together with Tom, Dad, and the more that he is getting to where it's becoming an autonomous type deal. He just says, "Here's a subject, write about it," and it doesn't have to be this. We get together 59 times and discuss. Did I do this right? Did I do that right? It's just kind of becoming a niche. So I know that my future will probably have a lot of writing in it. I don't know what yet I'm planning to say. As far as whether or not, where are my gifts, besides writing, I do believe that I may end up someday possibly on stage as a singer. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to say stamp, that's what the Lord has said, because I don't know.
But you don't want to limit it either, because he gave you that gift to sing.
Yeah.
So who knows what he'll do
Well,
with that.
and that's also another thing I'm very comfortable doing for some reason. At my church, I get up every single Sunday morning on the worship team and I sing, and I have no problem expressing myself in that area. But if he had asked me to preach, I would stand there and say, "Please don't. Here am I, send me, but please don't make me preach." You know what I mean? That's
you've got a lot in common, though, with Moses. And look at all the things he did. When the Lord went to Moses and said, "I want you to go and I want you to be the representative for me to Pharaoh," who already, you were raised in his household. I can't speak very well. I really have problems talking in front of groups. He didn't go to any courses, but the Lord said, "Okay, I'm going to spend 40 years getting you ready for this." So if you feel sometimes like it's taking a long time for the Lord to help you know what your voice and your mission is, I don't think it's going to take 40 years. I don't. I think the fact that you just told me that he told you to get ready, and you've already started doing this, I think maybe even before this fall, when the actual SkyWatch Women, the full panel show begins, I suspect that you're going to know what he has for you to do. Well, you talked about ghostwriting, but you also have your name on some books, and one of those books is Redeemed, Unredeemable. That is a book that has reached out to prisoners, populations throughout the United States and maybe even internationally. Did that surprise you when you found that out?
When Tom and I originally had the conversation about what our expectations for that book would be, we had to try to figure out whether or not we were going in it for, sales and promotion, or whether or not it was just going to be a ministry tool. And the subject, it mattered. I mean, there's no making somebody famous or making a lot of money off of that subject matter. We took 7 notorious, very famous case studies of...
David Berkowitz was one.
David Berkowitz, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal. We took 7 very famous cases of people who they had a real messed up childhood, and they had this moment where they snapped. They did some real horrible crimes, and then they came, their testimony is that they came to the Lord, and how they got there and what they went through to get there. Just to bring people up to speed that don't know about what the book is about. The nature of that book is one that we decided from the beginning would be a ministry tool, and that we didn't care how well it sold. Now, it has sold pretty well, but the thing that has actually made that book stand on its own legs as far as its value is that we continue to get letters and emails from prisoners and people who are in prison ministry that are saying, so-and-so's requesting another case of this book to send to this wing of this prison, because all the prisoners themselves are hearing about it and they're requesting it. It's a couple of the testimonies, including one from a gal who it was a former forensic crime scene analyst that said she had completely, and for good reason because of her line of work, had completely given up on the human race and by extension somewhat God, because it's like, well, it's just all so evil. It never even really occurred to her to consider that the Lord would meet people in the most evil of minds, and that these people would even be capable of redemption or change. And so the idea that they were she emailed us not to say, glory, I've patched all these emotional problems that I had, but to say, I just wanted to let you know that book has helped me pick up my Bible and start reading again. And so it's moments like that. It's reaching prisoners. It's reaching people who have been through abusive situations. It's reaching people who have found themselves in a position to say, I am done with people. And then they realize that even the worst of these is who Christ came for. Oh, wow. But that's the whole message of that. The book in itself it's kind of its own little ministry.
Did you not hear also from David Berkowitz after the book came out?
Yeah. Oh, we're still in contact. Yeah.
He writes you.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So is he? Am I right in remembering this? Is he preaching or teaching in the prison where he is now?
He's a prison chaplain for a certain wing of this prison. He deals with both physical and mental disorders and disabilities.
Yeah. In case you don't know who David Berkowitz is, Son of Sam is what he was sent up for.
He was the bulldog pistol killer, the .44 caliber killer, and the Son of Sam. Thusly named because he terrorized the local sheriff with a bunch of letters that had been sent from the Son of Sam during his string of murders.
You know what? That's something that I think many of us tend to forget, that not one of us is really redeemable when you look at it. I mean, Jesus Christ could have said, no, not one of you is worth this. But he chose to die for everybody who would accept him. So it doesn't matter what you've done. These people who are in prison, that has to be quite a shock to them, especially those who have gone up for heinous crimes, pedophilia, murder, and there are women that I think I just found out have also contacted you. So these aren't just going to the male populations, these are also going to female populations, that some of the women prisoners that are out there, they've done crimes just as heinous as anything else, but according to our Father in heaven, just lying, is enough to keep you from heaven. So this idea that somehow there are these various shades of gray of sin, that's a human idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We are going to take a really quick break because I want you to see a little bit more about the book No Fences that Nita Horn, Donna's mother, has put together. And I think you helped to put this together too, didn't you and Allie help with this? Mm-hmm. This book is going to help us finance the women's brand new studio that is going to be built right here in the building. It's going to take a lot of money, I'm afraid, because it's going to be from the ground up. So if you will buy the No Fences book based on what you're going to see in this ad, we hope that you will buy lots of them because it's going to help us to build the studio. Be right back.
To celebrate the release of Nita Horn's inspiring new book, No Fences, SkyWatch TV would like you to tell your story, because after all, even if you don't think so, you actually have a story.
Send in your story, and we are going to choose the 10 best, and they'll be published for Christmas release in an anthology of those stories, along with the book that you buy that is actually only $19.95. Am I right on that?
That's correct.
For free. Tom Horn, crazy guy, he's throwing in a journal which on its own, most of these retail for $20 on their own. So this journal is to help you start writing your story. When you buy the book, not only are you going to be enrolled in this and you can send in your story, but you'll get a plastic pony, you'll get a journal of your own, and the proceeds from the book are going to help fund the studio we're building for SkyWatch Women. And Nita Horn is going to be one of our panel members.
The 10 authors who are selected for the anthology, published by Defender Publishing in time for Christmas, will also receive a $500 cash prize.
That'll go a long way at Christmas time, won't it?
Yes, it will. Even if your story is not one of those selected for the anthology, if you've taken the time to write your story, you've left a legacy for your children and for your grandchildren.
Amen to that.
For complete instructions and details on this opportunity, please log on to skywatchtv.com/nofences.
Before we left, we were talking about the book, No Fences, that you have to write with your mom. When you were putting that together and talking about the reminiscences that your mother lived through, was there something that you learned that you didn't know? Or had you already talked about all of these stories?
No, I actually did know pretty much everything that went into that book. My mom and I sat down with a recorder, and she just started talking. And the book ended up actually being something it wasn't even supposed to be. We originally sat down, it was supposed to be kind of an inspirational devotional, much shorter, like maybe 100 pages or so, maybe 150 tops. And it was supposed to just kind of be like lessons learned on the farm. You know, today it was a sunny day and blah, blah, blah. And as she got to talking, there was no way around discussing what happened with her sister in that car accident, because everything my mother has learned throughout life comes back to that. It circles back around to losing her best friend and her sister. And there was no, we kept trying to say, we don't want the book to be dark or heavy. We just want to kind of get, we couldn't. There was no getting around that. So we said, okay, let's just start with that. So we kind of started with this recording and kind of nailed The Pink Pony was the name of that chapter, discussing the accident. And we started with that, and we thought, we'll build around that. But once you talk about that, there is no... So anyway, it was a sunny day on the farm. It just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And there, I have to say this on the record, there is a great deal of my mother's life that is extremely important, that is never once discussed in that book, because there is a day that we believe that she's going to come around to writing her magnum opus, but she's just not ready for that yet. Her and I have that in common. We're still figuring out, we're testing the waters and figuring out what, how to go about that. But that book, it scratches the surface, but it is a lighter read, and it's nice, and it's friendly.
It's a quick read, but there's so much in it. It really is in many ways like a devotional, because each chapter at the end you address what you've learned throughout, and it all goes back, as you say, to that one pivotal moment in her childhood. She was only 12 or 13 at the time, wasn't she? Pretty young, but much of who she is now began then. And it even led to meeting your dad, which are stories that I absolutely love.
Yeah, the man in the mud.
Yes. You know what? You have to be one of the most beautiful women I know. Now, I mean that from my heart, and it's not just your beautiful exterior, because you're a lovely person on the outside. Donna is one of the few women that I know can go with no makeup and look absolutely gorgeous. Boy, do I envy your skin. But it was not always that way. But you're also beautiful on the inside. That's the main thing, because honestly, the exterior is going to age. Trust me, it will age. But it's what we're supposed to be doing with the inside, with our true selves, growing throughout our lives. But as a woman, you didn't always have beautiful, flawless skin. You weren't always the beautiful, shape you are now. You dealt with some major health and weight issues. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I did not know growing up that my left leg is about 36 millimeters shorter than my right.
That's huge. That's like an inch and a half.
It is a huge difference, yes. And I didn't know that was what was going on. I was about 16, and I suddenly just kind of couldn't walk easily. It was always a struggle. A limp kind of came in, and I don't know why it didn't really occur to anybody, even when I was taken to doctors, to do a standing x-ray, because they had done a lot of things. I was having pinched nerves, and they were diagnosing me with sciatica and all these crazy things. And one of my doctors, the MRI, she's like, there's nothing wrong with you, kiddo. You have your spine's perfectly aligned and all this stuff. So I did try to get treatment, but when it had been discussed and decided that there was nothing wrong with me, I just thought, well, that's just weird. I just have pain that's unexplainable, but whatever. So I stopped even trying to seek medical help because I had already been through all of this. There was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
So the pain set in, and it got worse and worse and worse. And that led to a weight gain, not necessarily because I wasn't moving around.
It doesn't help, though, when you don't move around.
Right, but it was also driven by this carelessness that was like, you know what? My body hurts so bad, I'm going to have nachos, and that's how I'm going to treat this.
And it makes me feel better, so there.
Yeah,
yeah, I've been there.
And it did. And honestly, I don't beat myself up about that. That was It was really easy to just kind of eat and enjoy my life if I was going to be in pain. And I don't mean that as a sob story either. Well, anyway, years had gone by, and I went and saw a gentleman in Springfield. I got up to 315 pounds.
You're how tall?
5'7".
5'7".
5'7". And the reason you saw me hesitate when you asked about my height is because I was 5'6". And then after they hooked up my left shoe with a lift in it, now I have to have custom shoes where they cut down the sole and they put a lift in it.
Sure.
Now I'm 5'7". So I used to be 5'6". Now I grew.
Yay!
But anyway, 315 pounds at 5'7".
That's a lot on a 5'7" frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the more obese that I became, it was doing internal damage too, and to my organs and everything else. But my skeletal frame was just getting worse and worse and worse. And the way that the weight was affecting my body, it was hurting more all the time. And the more it hurt, the more I didn't care. It's just, I'm huge. It doesn't matter. And I enjoyed my life, by the way. I want to tell you, I was every bit as confident at 315 as I have ever been in my life.
Wow.
Weight did not mean anything to me, but it hurt. So I decided to get help. I went and saw a naturopathic, homeopathic doctor who happened to also be a chiropractor. And I walked in, and he said, well, I'm gonna put you up on this treadmill, and I'm gonna watch you from behind for a minute. And he said, I don't even need to take standing up x-rays. Your left leg is significantly shorter than your right. But he did take the x-rays to prove that.
Sure,
but I mean, he could tell. He's like, I don't know why anybody couldn't tell. So he started putting lifts in my shoes. We did all this acupuncture and therapy and all this stuff. And in the meantime, as my body, the pain was going away, naturally the weight was coming off. I was finding different ways to treat myself for the pain rather than food.
Did you do it with regular food, or did you buy products that you ate every day? Or
no, I did for a while go on Medifast, but that can really only be said for about 20 of the 138 pounds I've lost so far.
138 pounds? Yeah. That's a person.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know. We were packing boxes in the warehouse one day because we were having a promotion for the Researcher's Library of Ancient Texts.
Yes,
those are big books.
Those are big, heavy books.
And I don't remember how many cases it was, but I was helping them lift and put cases various places and stuff. And I went to lift this double case that had been taped together for UPS, and I lifted it, and I'm carrying it over, and I'm like, man, this is a really heavy box. And it occurred to me that off of my body, I had lost 4 cases of Researcher's Library of Ancient Texts. And it's almost doubled since then or something like that. I don't remember the exact weight. I did the math that day, but I was like, holding those 2 cases of books in my hands, I was thinking, double this has come off my body. It was incredible when it occurred to me. So.
Wow. There are probably people watching right now, women watching especially, who they think if you're in television that you've got all the answers, even if it's Christian television, and you know nothing bothers you. The fact is, it's an ordinary person sitting at this desk, an ordinary person who lives an ordinary life outside of these cameras and lights. You've got children. You've got 2 children, right?
Yeah.
How old are they?
I have one 6-year-old and one 4-year-old, and they both just had a birthday.
Oh, that's right. We had a great birthday party. Your kids are adorable. You are one of the nicest ladies I know. If if the Lord speaks to you and says, here's what I want you to do, is there something that you're kind of hoping he'll say? Is it something that you're thinking, please tell me all I have to do is just sit and write for the rest of my life? Or, as you said earlier, please tell me I get to sing more for the rest of my life. Is there a dream yet in your heart that you've really maybe not had fulfilled yet?
Well, the one dream that it has been a desire within my heart since I don't even know how old I was. I believe I was maybe 2 years old when I crawled up on a box with a empty toilet paper roll, and it was my microphone.
Been there.
And I was Annie.
Oh.
And I have been a Broadway character every day since. That I would love to do musical theater. However, I don't believe that is where I'm going unless it becomes some way for me to do it in a safe way.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I have nodes on my vocal cords, and I was in musical theater, and the productions that I was in, and then the standing, just even just when my acting troupe got together and said, okay, we're going to do this for an extra credit through college or whatever, it wasn't even a big production. Even those days when it came time for me to perform what I had practiced, I would get laryngitis almost every single time. In fact, I performed several times with laryngitis, and I would get to where I would learn how to kind of rap the words instead of sing them, and what notes I could and could not hit that day. But I cannot perform the high demand of being like on Broadway or something, right? I'd never actually be able, physiologically, I would never be able to actually do that. So it's almost as if, and this is something I do believe I've heard from the Lord about, that, and also just a certain morality issue that I kind of observed what was going on in the theater crowd when I was involved in it, and I feel like that I've been given limitations, that this will never be my future. But I feel like the Lord has said, I'm giving you this talent and I'm giving you that passion. You don't know what it's going to accumulate to become yet, but it is not going to be secular Broadway or secular staged musical theater.
He may have
not
a surprise
going to
in
Miami
mind.
or anything.
He may have a surprise in mind for you. Donna Howell, it has been such a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for tuning in to SkyWatch Women One-on-One. If you buy the No Fences book, you're going to help us build that studio and get the SkyWatch Women panel show launched that much sooner. In the meantime, we'll see you next time here for SkyWatch Women One-on-One. I'm Sharon Gilbert for SkyWatch TV. Bye-bye.